Hello everybody! Today's video is going to be a fun one because I am doing a full face of affordable makeup that is all available to purchase at Walmart. I do just want to start by saying that this video is in no way, shape, or form sponsored by or affiliated with Walmart itself. I don't really think they're going for the under 100 subscriber influencer market just yet. I'm also not trying to make it seem like Walmart is your only option when it comes to shopping affordable makeup. But I did go into my local Walmart last week and I saw that they had really spruced up the beauty section, which normally looks kind of sad at my location, honestly. And they brought in a couple of brands that, one, I hadn't seen before, and two, really interested me. So I picked a couple of things up from those brands and I wanted to try them on camera for you guys, especially since I hadn't seen a lot of reviews on the YouTube space of these items before. And I also just wanted to showcase some of my other favorite affordable products that are available at Walmart. All of these were purchased with my own money. I do have multiples for each category from different brands and stuff like that. So I'm going to be showcasing a couple of different options for each category on the face, showing you prices when I can, and talking about the brands a little bit too. Let's just get right into it. So I zoomed you guys in a little bit closer. I've got you right where I want you, and we're going to talk skin prep. I'm actually wearing a really affordable perfume right now too. This is a celebrity scent. It's Indie by Katy Perry. I don't know if this is actually still available. I purchased it off of like a wholesaler and I didn't like it at first. I thought it just smelled like straight up rubbing alcohol and then went away. But when you spray it on the clothes, it's a really nice, soft, sweet musk. It doesn't last a long time and it's not super strong, but it is really nice, and I've been actually spraying it on my pajamas to go to bed lately. It's a nice heavy glass bottle. It's got some embossing on it that says put the I put the U in individual. I think I paid $7 for this 30 ml bottle. So if you can find this on like Fragrance Net or something, it is a pretty nice one. Oh, skin prep. Walmart has actually stepped up its skincare game quite a bit lately. It wouldn't be like my first choice to go to for skincare, but they've got some good stuff. They've been bringing in some more K-beauty brands, it looks like. When I go to my local Walmart now, we have Cosmetics and Innisfree and some other brands that I found kind of hard to find before they were available at my Walmart. It is worth mentioning that you could probably find a greater variety at like a K market or something if you live in a bigger city, but I live in a smaller city in Northern Ontario and we don't have any Korean-owned stores where I am. I don't have any of the K-beauty stuff to show you right now. I haven't quite bit the bullet on purchasing right now, but if any of you have any recommendations from Cosrx, I would love to hear them. I do have, however, the e.l.f. Illuminating Eye Cream. I don't mind the e.l.f. skincare. It's pretty basic, but it does what it's supposed to do. I don't find any of it is offensive to my face. None of it's broken me out, stuff like that. It works well under makeup. So I used the illuminating eye cream under my eyes today. I'm not going to apply it again because I don't want to like gum up my face. And then for moisturizer, I used the Cerave Renewing SA Lotion. So this is the salicylic acid lotion that they have for extremely dry, rough, bumpy skin. And I have facial psoriasis. I've mentioned it a couple times already. I get really scaly around the sides of my hairline and then on my eyelids. So I use this as a face cream 3 or 4 times a week, usually as a night cream, sometimes as a day cream if I'm breaking out, which I am kind of around my cheek and chin area here. So that's why I used that today. For me, this isn't my favorite to apply under makeup because it's very emollient and very moisturizing. It's almost like a body lotion type of consistency, but I put this on after my shower and that was a couple hours ago, so we'll be good to go by now. My lips, however, they're looking a little crusty, they're feeling dry, and I have been a longtime user of the e.l.f. Lip Exfoliator. I think I paid $3 for my first one back in 2014, back when they only had that brown sugar flavor. Now I think they've got a whole bunch of different ones like mint, cherry, and then they'll sometimes bring some out as part of their special limited edition collections. And at my Walmart, they actually had this Cookies and Dreams one, which tastes like vanilla cookie cream sort of thing. Hopefully you don't find that gross that I'm showing you this, but it's just a bit of a lip balm oil stick with a bunch of scrubby bits in it. And you rub it on your lips and it conditions them and scrubs them at the same time. And I love that it's not super messy since it is in this stick format. It's not like I'm having to scrape something out of a tub and get it under my fingernails. That's kind of gross. And it doesn't like crumble off my face as I'm using it. Like I find a lot of the scrubs in pots do. I rub them on my lips and they're falling down my chin onto my shirt. First world problems. I think I paid about $6 for this and it's well worth the money in my opinion. If you already have a lip scrub that you love and you're working through, I wouldn't necessarily run out and purchase this, but if you don't have one or you're looking for one that's a bit more portable or that comes in a fun flavor and doesn't cost $30 freaking like the one from Fresh, I would recommend picking this up. It's really nice. And while that lip scrub is conditioning, I do like to put a lip balm on top afterwards. So this is the Milani Fruit Fetish Lip Balm. They have a whole bunch of different flavors of these. This one is the Blueberry Acai Lip Balm. And I can't say I love the name Fruit Fetish, but this is a really nice lip balm. It is a little tinted, actually. It's got like a little tiny bit of a purple tint. These do have a flavor to them, you know, as it having a flavor name would suggest. And the flavor is really subtle. It's nothing super overpowering. It is just vaguely sweet, and this is a really nice conditioning lip balm. I do find it to be really hydrating. And I think these were about $8 or $9. I do find them to be a little bit overpriced for what they are, but I also really like that they come in so many flavors that you don't see in a lot of other lip balms. Any prices that I'm listing are going to be in Canadian dollars, by the way, so Americans, you can expect to pay about 75% of that in USD. And a lot of these products I don't have the exact price for because I wasn't able to find them on the Walmart website because the Walmart website kind of sucks when it comes to searching things up in the beauty section, I find anyway. However, unless I specifically mention an item, you know, possibly being discontinued or I've had trouble finding it, all of these will have been available at my local Walmart as of last week. So with our skin prep done, we can move on to primer. I don't have a lot of primers from the drugstore. There are a lot that intrigue me, but it takes me a while to go through a primer. And I have a lot of like deluxe primer samples from Sephora, stuff like that. When I worked at different makeup stores, they would often give primer as gratis. So I don't often need to be buying new primers. In the past, I have enjoyed a lot of primers from the drugstore, though. I have tried the Revlon Rose Glow Serum. That one was really nice. And I really liked the Hard Candy Sheer Envy Primer Mist. That one was super hydrating and dewy. For now, though, I'm going to showcase two that I have. I'm actually almost done with this one from Wet n Wild. This is the Wet n Wild Glass Correct Primer, and I have it in green. I believe it also comes in yellow. So it just looks like this. The green looks pretty strong when it's on my fingers, but you'll notice that it's not like a pasty sort of green once it gets on my face. And this is a more moisturizing, lotion-y type of primer. It's not super pore filling, and it does have a little bit of radiance to it. It doesn't do a whole lot to color correct like redness on spots or breakouts that I have, but when it comes to my whole face in general, it does help to correct like a little bit. I don't think this would help to color correct something like severe rosacea or broken capillaries or even breakouts and spots. But my face does get kind of red because of my arthritis that I have in my jaw. So this helps to color correct it a little bit. I do mostly like it for the nice smoothing emollient texture though. It's just a really nice base. The name Glass Correct is pretty accurate. I do find it gives that really nice glass skin type radiance without making my skin feel too oily. And obviously you can see I've used this quite a bit. I think it was around $8 when I purchased it. Next is a primer that pretty much needs no introduction. This is the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. And this has been viral since it came out for like 2 years. Everybody calls it a dupe for the Tatcha Silk Canvas Primer. I actually like this one better. I've been through 2 minis of the Silk Canvas and I didn't like it quite as much as this. This is just a smoothing, pore-filling primer balm. This is obviously just a mini. I've used quite a bit of it, but this came in a set of 3 minis with an illuminating poreless putty primer and a matte poreless putty primer. I've since given both of those away because I just like the original a lot better. The full size of this costs $10.97, And then I believe that kit of 3 minis I got was something like $11.97. And this is a primer combo that I use quite often, so I know how it generally works on my skin with different foundations, and I'll still be able to gauge the performance of the foundations that we're going to be wear testing today. So we have the face all nice and primed. I also went ahead and primed my eyes with my usual 24-hour Photo Finish eyeshadow primer from Smashbox, just so I can see how these eyeshadows are going to perform against ones that I normally use with that primer. And now I can show you what we're going to be working with for eyeshadow. This is really exciting because I've got a couple of new things, I've got a couple of old things, I've got a couple of similar things, and we'll be able to compare and contrast them. So we'll start with the newer ones first. I picked up these Hard Candy Moods monochrome eyeshadow palettes. So each of these quads has like a lighter shimmer, a brighter mid-tone matte, a slightly more mid-tone shimmer, and then a darker matte. And they've got the little letters embossed in them. So this green one is called Envy. And then this more pink burgundy one is called Hard. Did I buy it because it was called Hard? It was probably the major factor in that decision, yeah. So since these quads from Hard Candy are actually so new, I wasn't able to find them on the Walmart website, but I do think they were less than $5 each. Similarly priced to the e.l.f. bite-size shadow quads, which I have 2 here. So this one is the colorway Truffles, and this one is the colorway Hot Jalapeno. I don't think Hot Jalapeno specifically is available at Walmart, but it is still drugstore, and I did just want to showcase the formula of these in my eye look today. And the e.l.f. shadow quads retail for $3.97, making them easily the most affordable eyeshadows at the drugstore in Canada. And then I have a bigger palette from what is going to be our first new brand to me of the video. And this is from Prideful. This is their Eye Candy Pressed Eyeshadow Palette in the shade Margeaux, and I got this for $12.96. So I actually saw Prideful for the first time a couple of weeks ago at the one other Walmart location in my city. Not that it really matters. So I actually saw them in the body care section. They didn't have a makeup section up. And I saw this coconut body oil mist, and I was immediately drawn to the packaging, I'll be honest. And my immediate thought when I saw this was, oh, okay, this must be on clearance. It's leftover from Pride Month. But then I saw that the brand itself is called Prideful. And I read the back, and they donate proceeds to the Matthew Shepard Foundation. And I was like, you know what? I need a body oil. I'll pick it up. I was pandered to somewhat, and it worked. So I bought this. So then I went and did some reading on the brand, and I actually just want to read a bit from their website off to you. The website is prideful.me, and they have a page about their mission. So I'll read just a bit of that off to you. Prideful is a new brand born from the desire to affect change and inspire inclusion. Our products are gender non-specific, as Prideful's mission is to cater to the individual with both pride and purpose. Here at Prideful, we are true to our word about affecting change, and it is our core belief that a pivotal way for us to do this is to make monetary donations to local and national grassroots LGBTQIA+ nonprofits in the communities serviced by our LGBTQIA heroes. This keeps our connections to our international LGBTQIA+ community and allows us to see positive change in real time, while bringing a grassroots-inspired mandate to our marketing where we can service individual markets and communities nationwide. And when they say nationwide, I do believe they mean the US, but they do have some of their local, like, Prideful heroes in Canada as well. And obviously the products are available in Canada since I picked some up. So for the launch of Prideful, we are proud to partner with the Matthew Shepard Foundation. Matthew was a young gay man who was murdered in 1998. And the foundation in his name works tirelessly to erase hate. Jointly, we are looking to erase hate and paint love with Prideful. We here at Prideful feel that the only way to affect real change is by visibility and acceptance. We are committed to the long-term work ahead of us as a brand. The Matthew Shepard Foundation's work is key to educating, informing, and creating acceptance with understanding. The work is paramount to us here at Prideful. Now, you can call me a sucker, you can call me gullible, or that marketing has gotten to me, but I actually think that's really freaking great. And they seem to be exclusive to their own website, Walmart, and Amazon at the moment, which, while I'm not the biggest fan of huge conglomerate corporations and stuff like that, that's so goddamn smart. Because while Walmart and Amazon are 100% not on the top of my list for LGBTQIA plus representation and change, in North America especially, they do represent this big societal melting pot. They're entry level. You can go get your groceries at Walmart. You can go pick up basically anything at Walmart. And same with Amazon, especially around this holiday season where there's tons of sales, a lot of gifting going on. A lot of people I know spend an hour or more a day browsing Amazon. They'll spend their lunch hour browsing Amazon for new products, and these are going to show up. Because when you go into a Sephora or an Ulta, you're already limiting your target audience to the people who shop at those locations, people who are into beauty or who are looking to purchase beauty products. When you put yourself on Amazon and in Walmart, your target audience becomes everybody in the US and Canada just about, because I don't know a lot of people who don't have a Walmart within driving distance or who haven't purchased something on Amazon. And because their mission seems to be very much about the visibility and the spreading love of it all, even people who look at the prideful display and go, oh my gosh, are still going to feel a certain way about it. They're going to feel, oh my gosh, the LGBTQ community is big enough to have a brand actually cater to them. And I can guarantee that if I waltzed into my local Walmart at the age of 14 and saw that display of prideful makeup, plastered in holographic rainbows, I would have felt so special. That would have just been like a pivotal positive moment for me when it came to destigmatization of being queer. And even at 25, I was reading that marketing manifesto and getting some chills. So the garbage truck is coming down my street. As I was saying, I hope that a lot of queer people of all ages get to go see the prideful display at their local Walmart and that it makes them feel really special. And I hope that Prideful gets to make a lot of change and donations to different grassroots organizations. That's just really great. But let's put all this stuff on my eyes and see how good it actually is. So we're going to have the Prideful palette. Going to also be working from the Envy quad, and then the two ELFCosmetics quads that I have here. I think we're gonna end up with something kind of greeny neutral. I'm thinking maybe green in the crease and neutral on the lid. Our lip is going to be red today because that's the only option I picked up. I'm gonna start with this N shade from the Envy palette on my Sephora Collection 27 brush. And we're just gonna put that through my crease. So I just went in with a couple layers of that, nice and bright. It got a little patchy on this eye. I'm not quite sure if you can see. There were a couple of places that it didn't really want to stick down in this outer corner here, and it got a little mottled looking on the inner corner. This eye looks fine though. Next I'm going to take this Real Techniques base shadow brush. Real Techniques are available at Walmart, and that's probably where I bought this ages ago. Oh, and I'm just going into this medium green shade from the Hot Jalapeno palette from ELF. I'm just placing that a little lower in the crease. Just going to bring that a bit onto the outer half of the lid. See, that ELF shadow is actually having the same issue as that hard candy shadow, where it does not want to stick in the outer part of my crease. It actually started to ball up a little bit instead of sticking. So that might be because I didn't set my eye primer. That might be my fault, but we're going to cover it up with something shimmery at the end anyway. Now I want to go in with something from that Prideful palette. So there's a dark green here. None of these shades are named, but I'm just taking this one. We're going to try that right on the outer corner, just to deepen it up Well, that's actually sticking to that one spot for now. That's nice. Let's hope I didn't jinx myself there. So yes, I'm just bringing that on the outer corner and then almost winging it out a tiny little bit. Now that is a beautiful deep green. I find a lot of deep greens from the drugstore just end up looking black, but this one keeps a bit of that green character to it. Kind of sketch that through the lowest part of the crease, especially since those other shadows had a bit of a harder time sticking in that area. I'm gonna go in and clean up that outer corner. Alrighty, now we get to put something on the lid. I am going to apply the lid shade with my finger at first without using any glitter glue like I normally use, just to see how the shadow performs on its own. But if it doesn't give me the effect I want, I will probably go in with the glitter glue after. And I'm going to be using this silvery taupe shade from the Prideful palette first. We're just going to try that like so. It's not bad. It's not the most foiled thing I've put on my eyes, but I definitely have a lot of indie shadows that I can achieve that look with, and it is nice to have something a bit more subtle. It blends really well. It blends pretty much instantly as you apply it, but it doesn't totally blend away either. I think that's really pretty. There's actually a similar shade in that Truffles quad from ELF right here on the end, so I'm going to apply a little bit of that in the middle of my lid because it's kind of just a darker, bit more intense version of that Prideful shade. So that is the start of the eyes. We'll go back in and do the lower lash line and mascara in a bit, but for now I want to move on to the face. And I did want to showcase a couple of my favorite base products, especially concealers from the drugstore, because drugstore concealer is not what it used to be, baby. A lot of my favorite concealers come from the drugstore now. I don't think there are actually any high-end concealers that I consider myself to be hooked on, but there are a lot of drugstore concealers that I have repurchased time and time again. Absolute favorite right now is the Wet n Wild Megalast Incognito Concealer. So this claims to be an all-day full coverage concealer, and that's definitely what it is. It's definitely the most coverage that I have in my collection right now, but it looks very natural on the skin. I mean, you have to put a foundation on with it. It's not something you can really slap on and go or use as foundation itself, but it doesn't look dry. It doesn't cake up over spots, and you don't have to build it in order to get it to cover. And it does stay on all day. I couldn't find this on the website. I think it's $8 or $9. The shade range is pretty poor on this. I have the shade Fair Beige. I'm the lightest shade, and I don't find there are a lot of different undertones considered in this shade range. If you can find your shade though, and you're looking for full coverage, this is a really good one. Next is the ELF Hydrating Camo Concealer, which I also have in the shade Fair Beige. They are a bit of a different shade. I would say that the ELF one is a bit darker and a bit more pink. I would say the ELF has about 75% of the coverage that the Wet n Wild has, and the finish is that much more natural. What I really love about the ELF Hydrating Camo Concealer is the blend. It blends seamlessly. It just melts into the skin. I wear this on its own a lot, or I'll even wear it kind of as a spot foundation sometimes. It is more on the satin natural side where I would call this a matte. The ELF Hydrating Camo retails for $7.48. And there is the NYX Bear With Me Serum Concealer. I have the shades Fair and Vanilla. I tend to mix them. This actually comes in a pump. Mine gets a little bit messy, as you can see. This is by far and away the most expensive concealer I'm going to talk about. This is actually $17 on NYX's website, but $15.96 at Walmart. However, I find this performs like a high-end concealer would. It is lighter coverage, but it is that serum consistency, so it just melts into the skin really nicely. It's just a beautiful texture, natural looking coverage, pretty much undetectable on the skin. And if you have had problems with concealers kind of looking crackly or dry on your under eye, or you have a puffier under eye as opposed to one that's more sunken and with fine lines, I would recommend this concealer. I did actually pick up one new concealer because Prideful has a full complexion range. They have 20 shades, and I will say that the shade range is pretty well evenly distributed. However, I unfortunately did purchase the wrong shade in this. Somebody had stuck this shade, which is Misty, in the wrong spot. So I ended up picking up a shade that was too dark. This is 2 shades darker than the foundation that I picked up from them. So this is the Undercover Featherweight Concealer. It's a pretty big tube, and it retailed for $11.96. So I'm going to put a little bit of this on, and I'm going to mix it with my Wet n Wild because that is a paler shade. And I'm going to see, I probably should have done that opposite, huh? I'm going to see how they blend out. And this sponge is actually one that you can get at Walmart too. This is the EcoTools Bio Blender. So it's actually a biodegradable makeup sponge. You can compost this after a month or 2. Okay, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but do you see the difference there? I think that looks beautiful. The texture is really nice. I'm going to try the Prideful on its own over a couple of spots and see how that works. And then I'll do my other under eye, of course. Or I'll forget, who knows. I'm going to try that there. It's got this really thin consistency. It's not like a thick whipped concealer. Where did I put my sponge? So I'm just going to stipple there. Yeah, it blends out really, really easily. But it maintains a little bit of coverage. Yeah, it didn't quite cover those spots up, but it tried. And that's such a thin consistency. I can obviously see where I've put it because the shade is too dark, but I feel like if I had a shade that matched me, I wouldn't be able to tell where I had put the concealer necessarily. So we're going to repeat that mixture under my other eye. Yeah, I love how easily that blends out because, like I was mentioning, the Wet n Wild doesn't always blend out the most easily. I really like that. I'm going to keep mixing the two just because I really like the blendability of the Prideful. And we'll put a bit on my chin. And then we're going to test some foundations. And I do want to see the coverage level of the foundations accurately. So I'm going to keep a couple of my spots on this side uncovered. Okay, foundation. I picked up 2 of them. We're going to be trying both, one on each side of my face. And these are 2 new to me foundations, but I have been testing them over the past couple of days just to see which application method ends up being best for it. So here I have the Uoma by Sharon C Flawless IRL Skin Perfecting Foundation. And we're going to try this on this side of my face. Now, Uoma by Sharon C is like a little sub-brand of a higher-end brand called Uoma Beauty, which is at Ulta. And I've loved their Say What liquid foundation for years now. So I'm going to spread a bit of that on my face with my finger, and then I'll start blending it out with my sponge. And I find this one blends really easily as well with the sponge. It's more of a medium to full sort of coverage with a satin finish and dry down, I would say, but it does get glowier on me throughout the day. We will be doing a wear test on this. Hopefully I can do some updates. My only gripe about this foundation so far is that I don't find a little goes a very long way. I find I have to use more of the product in order to get not even the coverage that I want. It's not like I'm layering it, but I will pump out a pump of foundation and it'll only cover like this much of my face, which is strange. So I've had to do kind of like a pump and a half to cover one side of my face so far. The finish is really pretty though. There's nothing that looks too dry and I don't find it's accentuating my pores at all. Blended nicely around my hairline, which is usually my problem area. The Uoma by Sharon C foundation comes in 30 shades. I have the third shade down, which is White Pearl T3. And then I have White Pearl T1N in the Uoma Beauty Say What foundation. And I have owned this foundation for like 3 years. I should probably chuck it. But I'm not all the way through it yet, even though I use it constantly. I do find this one to be a bit too light for me, so it's usually a mixer foundation for me, but it's really nice and full coverage. Whereas I find this is your more natural, everyday sort of foundation. That higher end one is more full glam. Oh, did I even mention this was $15.98? The packaging feels really luxe. It feels just like a foundation you would purchase at Sephora. I would say it looks like one too. Then we have the Prideful See Me liquid foundation. And I have the shade Zola. This comes in this fat kind of squeeze tube. Kind of like a painty sort of consistency. Like it's not super thick and whipped or anything. I'm going to say immediately that this is more full coverage, more matte, and goes a longer way than the Uoma by Sharon C foundation. The Prideful foundation does come in 20 shades that correlate with their concealer shades. So I have the shade Misty in the concealer, and I have the shade Zola in the foundation, which I feel is a better match for me, but still might even be a little bit dark and peachy. It's the second shade down, and I might try out that first shade they have because it looks a little dark on my neck there. This also looks like a foundation that might oxidize a little bit on me throughout the day. I haven't experienced any foundations oxidizing on me recently. I find a lot of that has to do with how you prep your skin, but just the dry down of this is making me think it might do that. I'll keep you posted. I am really impressed by the finish of both of these foundations though. They both look really nice on my nose especially. If I didn't mention, this Prideful foundation retails for $13.96, and I will say that the packaging does feel pretty cheap. Especially this, like, it's holographic, so that's cool, but the silver plastic and clear tube is kind of giving early days Wet n Wild. So we're going to finish up the rest of the face before we move on and complete the eyes. And it'll be nice because we'll get to see how different products want to blend on top of these two foundations. We're going to start with this e.l.f. Putty bronzer in the shade Tan Lines. And I'm just going to use that on my sponge. I find that when I use this bronzer on a brush, it tends to wipe my foundation away. Just something about the more silicone-y formula of the bronzer doesn't like being dragged over foundation. I just dunk my sponge right in there and I go ham. It's a really nice, subtle cream bronzer. There are a lot of cream bronzers where it looks like you're just applying a darker foundation because they're so pigmented, whereas this one is really nice and sheer and believable looking. This is a monster's it right here, by the way. Even if my foundation wanted to stay put on top of it, the texture of it is so glaring. I'm gonna have to put one of those pimple patches on top of it later. So I just bring a bit of that down my neck, and then I do my little trick of taking it behind my ear. And I think these retail for something around $7. Again, I couldn't find it on the website, but this has been available at my local Walmart in the e.l.f. section for quite some time now. Next, I'm actually going to use a little bit of powder, and I think this powder is discontinued, but I did buy it at a Walmart. I actually bought this at a Walmart in Minnesota, and this is the e.l.f. Matte Blotting Powder. I'm just going to use a little bit of this on my cheeks because I'm going to go in with some powder products, and I don't want them sticking to the foundation so much. I'm also going to be using a powder bronzer, so I'm going to go over that cream bronzer a little bit. Yeah, that looks fine. Oh, I get to use a bit of my favorite bronzer, which is from the drugstore, and this is the Maybelline City Bronzer. You might recognize this from my empties video because I showed off that I had hit pan in it. I am project panning this, but I will probably still repurchase it when I'm done. I can just throw this on with reckless abandon without looking completely overdone. I mean, that's what I think anyway. But we should destigmatize the overuse of bronzer. Now we're going to be going in with a blush. I don't have a lot of drugstore blush options that aren't from Essence, I realized. So I picked up this Lottie London ombre blush in the shade Haze, and she is very pigmented. So I'm going to take it on a little stippling brush here, tap off the excess on my hand, and then just go in, kind of sweep it upwards. This is more of a corally shade. So it's quite pigmented, but other than that, I would say this is just kind of your standard powder blush. They had some fun shades. They had a nude, and then they had more of a red as well, I want to say. I would like to see like a lavender to purple ombre blush in this formula. I think that would be really cool. So yeah, it's pretty pigmented. It goes to clown chics territory quite quickly. Luckily, I'm something of a clown myself, so it's not really much of an issue for me. So that's the blush. It's quite bright, and I'm a little bit worried for this next step because I only have one drugstore highlighter, and it's like lavender pinky. This is the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Loose Highlighting Powder from the Zodiac collection, and they still have this. It's just in different packaging. So I took a bit of that on my brush, and I'm really gonna work it into the brush on the back of my hand here, just like I did with the loose highlight in my other video. What was that? That was my I'm At It Again, Get Ready With Me. And we'll just kind of sweep that over the cheekbones in little buffing motions so that the sparkle doesn't rain down onto my face. Oh no, that's pretty. See, I'm always surprised by these loose highlighters. I always think they're gonna look so chunky, but they end up looking really nice and smooth and flattering on the skin. They're just a bit of a pain in the butt to use. Looks especially stunning over that Monster Zit. Yeah, that's pretty. I like that. Oh my god, I keep forgetting to tell you prices. This blush was $9.98, and the Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlighter, I bought this probably 6 or 7 years ago, so I bet you it was like $6, $7, if that. Before I do my brows, lips, and finish up the eyes, we're going to go in with a bit of setting spray. This is the Wet n Wild Stay All Night Microfine Setting Mist. It's got a little ball in it so you can shake it up. And this retails for $12.97. They also have a dewy coconut setting mist, if that's more your thing. It delivers enough product while not spitting at you, which is really important to me. I'll go in and do my brows before I finish the eyes because I don't like looking at myself with a full face of makeup and no brows. So I'm using the Hard Candy Brow Teddy Fiber Brow Gel in the shade Light. And good lord, is this stuff fibrous. If you want a bushy brow, put this in, wait a bit, and then put on a second coat because your brow is going to be so thick. See how much that filled in my brows? I'm not used to that. My other brow gels are more for hold instead of just color, but I'm not mad at it. And then I'm going to use one of my NYX Lift and Snatch Brow Tint pens. I have been using these exclusively on my brows for the past 2 years, I want to say. They take forever to actually dry out. They're amazing. They do take a bit more of a careful hand, but they look really nice on the skin and they wear until you take them off pretty much. Right now I'm using the shade Ash Brown because of how full my brows got with that brow gel, but normally if I'm using more of like a clear brow gel, I'll use the shade Espresso to better match the roots of my hair. So there are my brows, and let's continue on with the eyes. I think I want to do neutral on the lower lash line, so I'm going to go in with the Truffles quad from ELF. It's going to take that lighter brown shade, tap off a bit of the excess, and then go in on my lower lash line. And I'll bring that all the way across. So that's nice and blended. And then I'm going to take that brush that we used for that darker green from the Prideful palette. And I'm not putting any extra product on it, but I'm just kind of running that along the outer half of the lower lash line so it can connect a bit to the upper lash line. Just smoking it out a little bit. For my inner corner highlight, I'm going to go in with this E shade from the Envy palette. Just on my finger. I don't know if that's really giving me what I want. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a little bit of my Too Faced glitter glue here. And I'm going to take this NYX pigment. I don't know if NYX has their pigments at Walmart or if it's just at their stores. But I'm going to put a little bit of that on my inner corner like this. And this is in the shade Diamond. It's still drugstore, so I think it still counts. Okay, let's curl my lashes and then we can go in with mascara. I wanted to make sure to curl my lashes because I'm going in with a waterproof mascara, and those can sometimes be a little bit heavier and make my lashes droop. So this is the Prideful I waterproof mascara. It retails for $8.96. We're gonna have to scrape that off of my face in a bit. That was totally my fault. Looks okay so far. It's not really clumping or anything, so that's good. Not giving a ton of volume, but the length is there. So it's mascara versus no mascara. I will show you the wand. This is a natural bristle wand, and it's quite short. It's not super fluffy or anything like that. Alrighty, eyes are all done. Let's put on a lip and finish this thing. This is the Milani Understatement Liner in the shade Café au lait. And I think these retail for something closer to $10 or $11. Milani is one of the more expensive brands at the drugstore, I find. These gel lip liners are really nice. They're a bit more sheer than the ones from Wet n Wild, which I also have. So there we go. I have lined my lips in a neutral color, and we can go in with this bright red lip that I got from Uoma by Sharon C. So this is the It's Complicated Lip Tint plus Oil plus Gloss in the shade Boasty. And it's got this interesting applicator. I don't know if you can see, but it's a fuzzy dough foot on one side, and then on the other side, it's just flat plastic, kind of like those K-Beauty ones from Romand, I believe it is. So we're gonna put this on. I was wearing this in my last video, by the way, the Bath & Body Works one, the second half of the video. This is what I had on my lips. Just gonna be very careful because it's a red stain. Oh God. And I'm applying it with the fluffier side of the doe foot. I really liked how it looked on camera in the last video. I think that lip is really pretty. It's a little much with the eyes, but it is seasonally appropriate. Now, I am going to go get dressed because I'm going out to do some errands with a friend, and I will be back for the outro. Just kidding. My friend is coming a little sooner than anticipated, so instead of a formal outro, I will just be kind of showing you what the makeup looks like in natural light right now. It is about 2 o'clock. Already starting to look a little smudgy under my eyes, but I think that's more the eyeshadow and the fact that I got a bit of the mascara under there when I was applying it. The lip is really nice and glossy, but it also feels like it'll kind of stay where it is without moving around. And I really love how the blush pairs with the lip. It almost took on a bit more of that red hue. And then, of course, I love how the green goes with my hair. So I'll be updating you on how this wears throughout the day. And then I might do a little outro at my friend's place when I'm done. So I'm getting the last little bits of daylight here. It is about 4:50 p.m. And the foundation has worn pretty well. This is the side with Prideful, and then this is the side with Uoma by Sharon C. The eyeshadow has stuck on pretty well. Sorry if it's fogging up. It's really cold out here. We're a little smudgy under the eyes, but again, I feel like that's more the shadow disintegrating than the mascara. I didn't touch the lip up, and I was wearing a mask earlier, but it really looks like it has dried my lips out. It looks kind of nasty, honestly. Gonna do a little voiceover. I took these shots in my friend's bathroom at 7:30 p.m. So that is the side with the Uoma. And then as I turn my head here, we've got the side with the Prideful. So everything is looking pretty good. The foundation hasn't broken up, but it has gotten a little bit oily. And then at 10:15 p.m., I've been wearing the makeup for 8 hours. Everything is looking pretty oily, but again, it hasn't really broken up. Yeah, it's just really shiny. The eyeshadow stayed put very well. Little came off on my chin because I was eating a cheeseburger. And then I found that the mascara actually transferred quite a bit. Hey guys, it's Future Ludo here. It's been a few days and I have already edited all of the footage that you just saw. So I figured I would come back and wrap up with my final thoughts on all of the new products that we tried. First of all, I just want to say a huge thank you for all of the love on my last video with the Bath & Body Works Fine Fragrance Mist. You guys are amazing. Your comments are so sweet and so thoughtful, and I'm so glad that so many of you subscribed. I wasn't even over 100 subscribers when I filmed the earlier portion of this video, so this just feels ridiculous. It feels amazing. If you followed me from that video, you might not have actually clicked on this video because you probably followed me for fragrance content. This channel is a 50-50 makeup fragrance sort of channel. I'm going to throw in a little bit of lifestyle, but that's how I plan to do it going forward. I'm going to alternate one video fragrance, one video makeup, so on and so on. I'm going to try and get 2 a week up, but you know, life is life. It fluctuates. Okay, now for my thoughts on the new products that we tried. We're going to start with the Hard Candy Mood Shadow Quads. Now, I only tried this green one in Envy on camera, but I did try the pink one, which is called Hard, off camera a couple times. When I was watching back the footage, I noticed it did look pretty rough on camera when I was applying that bright green through my crease, but it ended up looking fine once everything was layered together, and it wore really well throughout the day. That green stayed really vibrant, and what I really liked is that it didn't stain my lids even after 8 hours of wear. For the Prideful Eye Candy palette in Margeaux, I actually posted a picture of the look that I did earlier in this video on my Instagram. And the creative director of the brand Prideful, whose name is Jason, actually commented on my picture. So that was, you know, that was pretty cool. That doesn't happen every day for me. He let me know that this palette is actually named after his drag persona, Margeaux. So I just thought that was pretty cool. I thought I'd let you guys know that. So I'll have to keep trying these. I did like the 2 shades that I used out of the palette, which were this taupe, which I used on the lid, and then there was the matte dark green that I was actually pretty impressed by. The rest of the shimmers when swatched don't seem like anything super special. There was a bit of fallout with that darker green shade, but the color applied and blended really nicely, I found. It did get a little smudgy under my eyes, but that tends to be a problem that I have with just about any eyeshadow. The Prideful I See You Waterproof Mascara. I would say that out of all of the products on my face, this wore the second worst, which is super unfortunate. I don't even usually buy waterproof mascaras, but as the weather is getting colder and snowier, I really wanted to have a mascara in my collection that wasn't going to transfer, wasn't going to run. So I bought this one in the waterproof version on purpose, and unfortunately it just ended up smudging on me after about 5 hours anyway. I could see like the little lines where my lower lashes had transferred the mascara onto my under eye. And to add to the misfortune, since this is kind of a waterproof formula, the smudges would not come off my under eye. Normally with a non-waterproof mascara, I can kind of just like rub a little bit, or honestly like lick my thumb and rub the schmutz from under my eye, and it doesn't disturb my concealer or anything, but these, those little lines wouldn't come off. So it looked a little ridiculous. So I think why it did this was because I was wearing my mask and I was outside in the cold, so any condensation was just going up right into my lashes, and it made the mascara kind of re-liquefy. It got really sticky feeling on my lashes, which was pretty uncomfortable, honestly. And for a waterproof mascara, it should not be doing that, in my opinion. I'm honestly still open to trying some of Prideful's other mascara formulas because they have a few different ones, but I don't think I would recommend this one if you're looking for waterproof or smudge proof. For the Prideful Undercover Featherweight Concealer, I really liked this. I think it blended beautifully, and I plan on going back and picking it up in the correct shade soon. I'm gonna make a bold statement. In the right shade, I think this could have holy grail potential for me. It just behaves beautifully. It behaves like a concealer that should cost like $50. Let's talk foundations. So we had the Uoma by Sharon C Flawless IRL Skin Perfecting Foundation and the Prideful See Me Liquid Foundation. I really should have prefaced the video by saying that I have oily skin because both sides got pretty greasy on me throughout the day. Honestly, I would say that the two foundations performed pretty much equally in that respect. Neither of them broke up on my skin. It was more like my oils were just coming through and sitting on top. They didn't block oil, but they also didn't, completely disintegrate or start transferring off of my face. I do want to say that I have tried the Uoma by Sharon C foundation a few more times, and I actually did a reel over on my Instagram with a couple of my other drugstore favorites that I didn't get to feature in this video. In that video, I applied the e.l.f. Putty blush on top of the Uoma by Sharon C foundation, and the two were making strange. They weren't playing nicely. It looked like I was trying to apply something really silicone-y on top of a foundation that had already been heavily powdered, and I hadn't powdered this yet. The edges ended up looking really gummy, and it was almost like the blush was trying to eat away at the foundation and making it break up. So that's just something to keep in mind. I'm personally going to stick to using only powdered cheek products on top of this foundation from now on. Prideful See Me foundation, like I said, it performed very similarly to the Uoma by Sharon C foundation in terms of wear. I still got oily, but it maintained its coverage, it didn't break up, and it also didn't oxidize like I had initially suspected that it might. Both foundations only came off where I had eaten, and neither came off on my mask when I was running errands throughout the day. One thing that's worth noting about the Prideful foundation that I didn't think to comment on while I was applying it was that they actually advertised this as a semi-matte medium coverage foundation, whereas I found the coverage to be a bit more medium full and the finish to be quite matte upon first dry down. I know this video is close to an hour long already, and I really hope you guys don't hate me for this, but I do just want to touch on something that I feel is important, and that's the outer packaging of Prideful. I've got some pros and cons and just some general feedback because they all come in packaging like this. So, pros and cons, here are some pros. If you've ever frequented a Walmart beauty section, you're gonna know what I'm talking about here. This is anti-contamination packaging. It is sanitary packaging. I hate when you go to pick up a product at the drugstore and it just has this wimpy little sticker seal on one side of the packaging, and like all of them have been opened, some of them have been swatched, and all of a sudden you're playing staph infection roulette while trying to pick out a concealer. That's obviously not going to happen with the Prideful packaging because everything comes like this, and the products are actually also glued into the back with a little sticky glue dot. If you were trying to swatch these in store, you're probably going to end up talking with loss prevention. I'm assuming that this is a cost-saving measure for the company because then less product is going to have to be DIFFed, which stands for destroyed in field, which is what has to happen when a product is found on the shelf with the seal broken, the packaging is a little roughed up, or it's broken in the case of like a smashed eyeshadow. I've worked in multiple beauty stores, high-end and drugstore, and that's generally just how it works. Those products get thrown away. I do like that the branding is loud and proud and easily identifiable. That's originally what drew me to the brand. On the side here, it has their slogan, erase hate and paint love with Prideful. And it's all uniform among their offerings, which is nice. Now for the cons, which I'm going to say is short for constructive criticism. I hate to be obvious, but when I was unpackaging my haul, it just felt incredibly wasteful. I couldn't find anything on the Prideful website about any sustainability claims or initiatives, so I'm going to assume that this is all virgin plastic. And I understand why there's so much outer packaging for the reasons that I just went through, but I still feel like there are ways that they could have done that while being more environmentally responsible. I hope that the brand can reach out and correct me if I'm wrong and this isn't virgin plastic, but if it is, I just wish that they could have used recycled plastic on this inside piece because it's not something you're going to be keeping around anyway. And it just feels like the environment wasn't taken into account when conceptualizing this brand, and I feel like that's going to end up being a point of contention for a lot of people in the queer community who would otherwise be super excited to support this brand. The one redeeming factor is that most Walmarts in North America have rolled out or are in the process of rolling out a collaboration with TerraCycle. So you can drop off your used up beauty products at your local Walmart, and then they'll take them back and ship them off to TerraCycle, who will find a way to recycle the parts of the packaging that your local recycling facility would consider to be waste and just toss in the landfill. So at least there's that, but I don't think that'll do much about this outer stuff because I don't think they take this, and the manufacturing process of this stuff is pretty harmful to the environment anyway. Now, I don't want to seem preachy or like I'm picking on Prideful because they are far from the only brand who has packaging like this. And I'm honestly still very interested in the brand. I do want to pick up more stuff from Prideful. They've got a lot of different products. They have a whole line of body care. But as a new brand, they're watching how they're being received by the public. And I just feel like they deserve the most honest feedback I can give them. But for now, we are going to step on down off the soapbox and talk about the Lottie London blush in Haze. This is beautiful. I'm in love with it. I've worn it a few times now, and it's always intimidating when I first put it on. I'm like, okay, that's a really pigmented blush, and it's all over my face. But by the time I'm done my makeup, it always looks amazing and super flattering too. I really like how it brings out my eye color, and it almost just kind of shapeshifts to match whatever I'm wearing on my eyes, or rather flatter whatever I'm wearing on my eyes or my lips. I really, really like this. Last product, the Uoma by Sharon C. It's Complicated Lip Tint plus Oil plus Gloss. Yeah, Sharon C. It's complicated. It really is complicated, man. This is a product that I love wearing, and I've been reaching for it really often because I love how glossy it looks. But if you're gonna wear this, be prepared to reapply. It looks fantastic and shiny and full pigment if you don't move your mouth whatsoever. After even 20 minutes of talking or wearing a mask, and like God forbid you drink a coffee, it's gone. It's gone. I don't even know where it goes because it's not like it's messy and transferring everywhere. It just disappears. But Ludo, you say, at least it's a stain. No, just no. It didn't even stain my lips evenly. It stained the lines of my lips. And how did that make my lips look? Chapped. Very chapped. It looked like I hadn't applied lip balm since the 6th grade. And I don't know if y'all remember because this has been such a long video, but I literally prepped my lips beforehand. I scrubbed them. I moisturized them. I let my lip balm sit on my lips for like an hour while I did my makeup, and then I wore this for 2 hours, and it looked like I had been making out with the snowman that my neighbor's kids made, which is mostly comprised of road salt and sand. It is so pretty in pictures though. God damn it, Sharon. That's it for today's video. If you made it to the end, you are a trooper. And I'd love it if you could comment what your favorite drugstore products are in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I won't keep you any longer. Bye.